What in goddess's sweet name did I step on? Well, looky here. What is it? It's one of them fancy comics. Y'all know the one you get from the store? Who would drop something like this? Seems in good condition, too. Who knows? People can be so careless. Though that doesn't matter to you. You can't even read that well. Just 'cause I can't read all of it doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. I can appreciate the artwork that goes into it. Maybe the pictures alone can help me understand what's going on. How can you understand it if it's just pictures?
Don't you know a picture can say 1,000 words?
Very funny.
Actually, for once, I'm not. Thing is, there are some instances where a comic is wordless, where the reader interprets what they're saying or feeling, and the emotion without even having to write anything.
And people just understand?
Of course, especially if done well. An artist doesn't have to write anything to say something. You don't get it, right?
It's not so much that I don't understand, it's just, well, can't things be misinterpreted without words? Like two people coming up with two different ideas from what's happening.
In a sense, that's also kind of the point. The artist leaves it up to that interpretation, so they can also make a story in their head.
I'd imagine that would cause more confusion. Well, since the artist is the only one that knows what's going on, right?
If the artist wants the reveal of what's happening, they'd say it themselves. But that's the fun with wordless. They'd let you have that imagination for yourself. It really brings in a keen eye of a person to see how far their imagination is willing to take them. Making words in their own heads, making ideas in their own heads. It's almost like you're creating your own story to have fun with.
No offense, but it almost sounds like a lazy storytelling that didn't bother putting in the effort of words, but instead just actions.
Believe it or not, it's sometimes harder to pull off wordless than it is a full plot and story of words. Since you already know what to go off by, you can make them feel and say whatever they want. But now, try to do that in the form of a wordless comic, where you have to make sure the emotions are on point, and add a little more action to it just so that people can get an idea. Even if that idea spans into hundreds of different ideas. But the two stories are the same. Just more effort and thinking process went into it. Some find it even harder than just a regular comic, since everyone can pull off emotion in a comic with just a few panels each time.
What are you all doing?
Proving a point.
What are you talking about? You were just staring at me awkwardly for a moment.
Because that was your interpretation. I didn't say a word, right? Your mind was left to wander and wonder what I was implying or doing, like how I was looking at you. It was clear without words that you were confused, while I was staring at you, making you believe an awkward moment was happening. While others could have interpreted it as me trolling you, or trying to get into your head, or me trying to teach you a lesson. As I said, without words, you can still make 1,000 words. It's like how you and I can stay silent to each other. Have you not remembered how many times we've just looked at each other, staring at each other, you probably knew what I was thinking. I knew what you were thinking, even without saying it. The expression and tone said it all. That's how wordless comics work.
Well, I'll be Andy. You should know about comic creation. You must be like a comic enthusiast.
Not at all, actually.
Wait, what? You don't mean to tell me that you knew exactly what you're talking about, but you don't exactly like comics?
Not that I don't like them. I'd just rather read a book is the thing. Don't you know I'm more for realism than fantasy?
Sure, 'cause, yeah, that makes sense. Then how do you know so much about comic creation when you don't even really care for them?
I've read a few, don't get me wrong. And you keep forgetting, don't you? I've been to private schools, one of the richest. They teach all types there, and during art class, one comic creator came to explain creating and the imagination that goes into it. As fascinating as it was, I'd still rather read a book.
Trust me, I don't forget that you were in a rich school. It just wouldn't imagine them teaching you something like that. Yeah, especially for the rich. Isn't comics kind of the gambling profession? As cool as I think they are, it's a gamble, ain't it? Not the best way to get rich fast.
You'd be right there. It is harder to push out comics or any type of artwork, especially an original, than an already pre-made, already existing franchise. But people, regardless of less interaction, like it all the same. Besides, you may get lucky if you have a publisher on your side, or if you know someone. And besides, not like there's a full day job anyway. A lot of people make it as a side hobby. I can respect the hustle, though, well, as long as the story doesn't suck. Problem is, the reason I don't really like comics is because the story sometimes just sucks to read. It's that time I'm never gonna get back.
Can't there be a bad book?
There are plenty of bad books, but the ones I read are more about mythology.
But you just said you weren't into realism, not fantasy.
Mythology isn't fantasy. It's more of ideas and theories.
It ain't realism either, Bunny brother.
Perhaps not, but it's the beauty of it to me. It is its own myths and ideas, theories and speculations. So it can't be wrong when it's myth, but it can't be right because it's an idea. It's like having a discussion in your head of whether or not you want to believe what is written.
Even the things you read are trolled just like you are.
I'm a book of a different cover, Stanley.
No kidding.
And, just a little slide in here, Fahrenheit 451, definite recommend as Andy's choice of the week.